Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to my Day 1 PC port overview of El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron. This is a title that was released 10 years ago on the 360 and PlayStation 3, and we finally got it on PC, which is great. Although I will say this port is pretty bare bones. It's got some advantages over the original console versions, but not too many. It's currently about $25. When you launch the game, you get this little splash screen going on right here. Unfortunately, the game does not support keyboard or mouse, despite the fact that you need one to launch the game, because you can't use a controller to navigate this. I have mine plugged in, and nothing's happening, unless you can control the mouse directly with it through a setting in Steam or something. You're not going to be able to do that. So, that's a little annoying. Anyway, to get into the actual options menu, you need to check this little box right here that says Screen Settings. So you click Start over here, and like, okay, it's going to launch. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, wait, hold on a second. That's my Audacity. Let me just... Oh, there you go. It's just hiding. Awesome. Okay, so... couple other problems. Alright, so we have the resolution options. This is all of them, even though we have it listed over here as widescreen. But, it goes over 1080p, which is nice. I think the original ran at like 720p or something lower than that, so that's, nice to see. But if we go, to 4x3, we'll see the 4x3 options. Okay, this is fine. But then we go back to 16:9, and suddenly we have less. So this thing just isn't really finished. If we go back to any... Oh, okay. Well, if we just go to any, we weren't on it in the first place. Whatever. You also have to click this little box called Save Settings to save your settings. It's very bizarre. And then when you go to Advanced, you got even more bizarreness going on here. What is even half of this crap? Well, I imagine that a lot of it's just developer debugging tools or whatever. Just... I don't understand. This game should be patched. We shouldn't be seeing any of this stuff because people might mess around with something and be like, well, my game's broken. What the hell's going on? So you can select your monitor you want it to run on. You have device options, vertex processing. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what any of this stuff is. Depth, stencil buffer format. Render target format? You got me. Multi-sampling, anti-aliasing. You think, oh man, it's got MSAA. Great. Don't run this. It's currently bugged, or at least it's not designed to be used, because it's going to mess with a lot of the particle effects in the game, so I wouldn't do that. Stuck on Direct3D 9. This game requires you to install PhysX if you have an AMD card, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you have a NVIDIA card, it will just launch. PhysX will just install through the launcher. It's because apparently they're saying like, oh, well, we couldn't get the graphic style exactly like the original game without it. Without PhysX, so don't worry if you're on an AMD card, it'll install, and I'll show some performance metrics for that in a sec. Alright, so, developed by Crim, at least 10 years ago, and, yeah, you can't skip any of this, which is a little bit frustrating. I should also mention the game does not support Steam Cloud either, which is a little annoying. I feel like every new game on Steam, unless you're doing it through, like, some external launcher like Origin or EA, whatever, Ubisoft, the loading times are not great, and it just takes a second to, you gotta feel like you're hammering the buttons to get into the game. Loading, yes. Alright, here we go. Options menu in the game is not great, but, it's what it is. It's from the console original. You can set your background music volume and your sound effects volume. Takes a second to load in, but that's whatever. Control options, it's actually fully rebindable. You can go down here, you can go to custom, and check it out. This game is not super complex, but it is nice that it has this. I do like that a lot. And the asset seems to be pretty good. It's not like running in some low resolution. So they did port it over fairly well for, some aspects of it. Voice options. It does support Japanese voiceover, which I believe, at least at launch, the Xbox 360 version specifically did not support. I don't think the PS3 version had it either. It's nice that it's in here, so you can go English or Japanese fully voiced. I'm actually going to go back to English, because it does have a decent dub from what I remember. Subtitle options, you have Spanish, French, German, and Italian. And of course, Japanese and English. This game does run at 60, though, on PC. So we have our autosave right here. I haven't played too much into it because I just wanted to get an overview of the PC port. As far as controllers, it seems that DualShock 4 might not work very well. X input, so your Microsoft controllers, your Xbox 360s, your Xbox One controllers, they do work. I don't really worry about that too much anymore because as long as it works right out of the box with like the X input, I find it fine. If you're using a PlayStation 4 controller, you're probably using external software for most games anyway, like Steam. Alright, welcome to El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron. This is going to be a little bit quick because, you know, this is a PC port video, not a gameplay overview. If you want to know about the game, well, there's about 10 years worth of resources you could probably find online to tell you about the game. But it is a character action game inspired by the religious text in Christianity, so the Book of Enoch, all that stuff. This is a very fun, very thematic kind of game. And it runs very, very well. Like, very well. I mean, I would expect it to, because it's, you know, 10 goddamn years old. But it is a lot of fun. It's flashy. It's a good time. And, like, the presentation for some of the stuff, like, the models are... they're okay. But the simplicity really helps helps their age. Because, you know, the hair physics are a little weird looking, but the model quality, it definitely marries itself to this art style that it's going for. And the aesthetic is really nice. Like, check this guy out. Thought I changed it to English. So this is actually Lucifer. He just gets his phone out. And he's like, "Yeah, God, what's up? Nah, I'm down here with Enoch. Nah, we found the Archangel's, the Fallen Angel's hideout. Yeah, all right, talk to you later, God." It's just got weird stuff like that in it throughout the entire game. It's a fascinating one. It's fascinating. Okay, we've restored our health, so hopefully that heartbeat sound of low health won't bother us anymore. So like I've said, it's a character action game, and it is a fun one at that. It's very simple on the combat. It still has combos, though. You can launch people in the air, you can do finishing moves, you can do all that kind of stuff. But it is quite limited, so I wouldn't be getting this game if you want something with a lot of depth. It's a very artsy-fartsy kind of game, but it's a good-looking artsy-fartsy game. I gotta say that a lot of games on Steam that promote themselves, like, I'm trying to think of that one, Dear Esther, and some other games, like, they aim for, like, a very beautiful-looking game, but, like, the gameplay is just not up to snuff, and sometimes they'll, like, try to be, like, an anti-game, like, the Stanley Parable, which is not... it's not designed to be like a really fast-paced character action game. It's a very simple walk around and interact with stuff kind of game. But I like this one because, you know, you have a fun character action game, albeit simple, but it's mixed in with like these religious overtones that make it fascinating. And of course, the art style is very beautiful. And because you can now run it at like 4K, which I'll show you in a second, it's just great to look at now. I'm not really paying attention, unfortunately. Okay, let me just... there. Oh, no. Didn't do that right. Alright, let's just block him. I thought it would parry. Yes, I haven't played this game that long. It's been a while. Like, 10 years since... or more like 6 years since I played it with Noah. One of the first videos we ever did, and now I'm playing it again, so also it's hard to do both, you know, commentate and play at the same time. Alright. Well, that's pretty much it for this portion. I'm going to switch it over to the AMD footage that I recorded. So this game does require PhysX, and I was worried that it might have some performance issues with the AMD card that I was running, which is a 580. I wanted to crank this thing out, run it at 4K, and see if a 580 with an 8700K processor could handle that. You know, it's a very budget card. That was a $200 card from years ago. Alright, so here we go. As promised, this is the game running at 4K on an AMD RX 580, and it looks pretty damn good, I gotta say, on my big-ass TV in the other room. The game does not seem to have any kind of performance issues. Rock solid 60 FPS. Of course, it does dip down to 30 for the cutscenes only, but, you know, that's part of the game. That's not gonna affect the gameplay directly, although it is jarring for that to switch like that, so that is annoying. However, is it worth recommending? I'd say yes, cautiously. If you were a big fan of the game back in the day, you know, it's the same game, but you do have, like, 60 FPS, better visuals. You can see the game fully realized now. And if you like the artistic aspect of the game, well, you're going to appreciate that. I will recommend it. In terms of bare bones PC ports, 60 FPS, above 1080p, and working controller support, for the most part, I can usually always recommend that. I'm comfortable. It's when games are locked to 30 FPS still, they have crashing problems, they have technical issues, all this other stuff. That's when I just don't want to recommend a game sometimes, and I was very close on that line with Skydrift. But this game is fine. I still recommend to get it on sale, though, because it's a 10-year-old game. Come on, guys. Really? It is a small company, though, so it is more excusable. It's not like THQ's porting this thing over with Skydrift. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm out.